Welcome back to Ecocentric. We did have a white Christmas, just. You see, there's not much snow there. Got my truck running again, got the starter back on it. There's a fine snow falling, a little bit of wind, but not enough to keep me from doing what I'm planning on doing now. We were headed for a stump over here. There was two trees in front of the tree that we wanted to get a stump off. That's what's laying there now with snow on it. I'm going to clean this up in the spring. It's just that during the winter I can cut things down and I can leave it there to be cleaned up in the spring. Now, this one was the first tree. You can see a bit of soft right there. But when you get up to the trunk, it's really soft. The bottom part, that's the second stump up right there. The entire inside, it would have been starting to fall apart if I had left it there any longer. Then, there was this one. As you can see, the bark is fairly smooth on it. But when you look on the inside, the living wood only goes in that far. After it gets past that, all this wood has gone soft. So, from a human point of view, it's only good for firewood. It's a good thing I took it down then. This was the stump. It was big enough to have something to really hit on in a local shop that's making large baskets. So that's what he wanted it for. But when we went to cut it, you can see the dark area. Yeah, it started to rot too. Now this tree, it was right full of knots, so I wouldn't have got any logs off them. They ended up being cut up into little pieces. So that piece right there, remember that one, it's about 5 feet long, I guess. And that's the first one off the stump. Across this way, the stump is 25 inches. And across the other way is 27 inches. So, split up, just that piece right there would fill up the trailer for my quad. Now back down again. Okay, so that's a stump up there, and that's the little the big bottom piece that I was just pointing out, and these two trees that I fell down here were in front of them. Now I fell that down nicely. I got one little piece of a small branch broke off of that one, but that's the only damage. Now back there is the forest, of course, and the only way this large tree was getting light is out this way. And so there was a bunch of limbs all on this side and pointing that way to go out around the other two trees that were in front of it. So I wanted to fall it down where I fell the other two, but try as we might, when that started to fall, with the branches all over that side, it pulled the tree this way. It almost took this piece of the tree right off, but it's still well connected there. So I got 2 straps. This one was holding it up mostly, and then I put this one here to put some compression on it now. But before they start to grow again, I need to put some wax over that. And in fact, I think I should put some sooner or later, because if water gets in there and freezes, it might freeze and then more get in and push that apart. So I gotta look into that in the next couple of days. I guess I do have to make a compost bin now. I had 3. Now I have to repair this one. So I'll buy some boards to repair that one. I'll buy enough boards to make a full one. I don't want to make it up now when the snow has melted, so that I can put it outside right away. I'll make one, and then that'll be an opportunity for me to show you what my favorite compost bin is, and it's this one. I was going to just set you down and then actually be in the frame, but I realized the detail wouldn't be here. A lot of this forest is going to be refreshed. You see, looking up this tree, it's one of those trees, even right at the base of the branches, you see that the branches died and they're basically getting all cankered around at the base. It's one of those trees that I say is dead and don't know it. So those can go. This one does the same thing, even though the bark is fairly smooth. White spruce does that sometimes. If they get really old, they'll get rough bark. But if they don't survive and they're a younger age like this one and these two, then the bark is still fairly smooth, but they'll be gone right soft inside. Now if you look at this one here, this is a fir, but it's got green branches all the way down. You notice once again there's not many branches on this side, they're all on the other side, but that's not a sign of the health of the tree, because most of the light is coming from that other side. So I want to leave this one here. That tree looks fair. No, he's not. I knew there was a reason I would take him down. You see all the branches down there, but if you look right up at the top, it's dead. The top of that has died. These two, this one is actually seems to be quite healthy. The problem is, when I get those other ones cut down, these are about ready to be the next ones that will blow over. They're leaning way out, and that means they're losing their root hold on the bank. So they have to come down. There's lots of trees around here that I'll be cutting and replacing. Here's one completely dead, the bark is falling off it. There's another one right there. Of course this is a old one. The bark has really gone bad on this one. Just starting to decompose, and the moss is growing on it, not even way up there. This tree it's got some green leaves up top, but it's practically, it might be completely soft inside. These were 2 more that initially, you see, I thought about taking that one down towards us here, and I would have to take down this tree and this tree. But sizing it up, I felt it was too far down the slope, and with the other branches sticking out over the slope, that it would be too dangerous to try and pull it back this way. So that's why I decided it had to go that way. These are down the slope too. So this winter I'm taking them down, and that way I can continue to work down here, adding trees and perennials and whatnot. And I don't have anything in the next few years then that I will be wanting to fall that way. Anyway, back to these two trees. You see, as I mentioned about the other one, this bark is starting to come right apart and go right full of lichens and moss. This might not be much good for getting a log out of, and of course it's got a lot of stumps too. We were trying to get some logs from my uncle here. He got a couple, but for the most part these spruce and fir trees are just dying now. I said before that I was thinking about getting rounds to make for rustic coffee tables, and actually I've got a couple more ideas too now. It's quite exciting. So this is the stump. I'm going to see if I can cut any more down. Got my uncle to come over because he has a really powerful saw. See, I just have the 16-inch 45cc jobby. I can get through this, but it would take me 4 or 5 times as long as it would take his saw. So he come over, and he's much better at cutting down trees than me, but because of the way the branches were, he had cut all the cuts perfect to follow it that way, but it's still, branches pulled it. Anyway, he has this cut down here. I am going to try and see if I can get a fairly flat 3-inch round out of this. I'm going to have to go and get something to dig away the moss and stuff on that side. Let's try it. Nice for a table, isn't it? And I'd pick you up and move you back so you can see it when I catches my breath. My sunglasses there for scale. There we are. I get that smoothed off. Epoxy in the holes there. It's quite a sized coffee table. And I just realized that's big enough to make a chair out of. I'm not going to cut that up into rounds. I shall attempt to make a rustic stump chair. When you're going to fell a fairly large tree, you have to look up, see where the branches are going, to see, okay, what are those branches going to be caught up in. Of course, if this was close to a power line, in the swing of that, will it hit any power lines or buildings over there? For this particular tree, I sized it up. This side, I should be able to fall parallel to the slope that way. This side, however, has all its branches on that side, so it looks like I'm going to have to fall right down where I fell those other two earlier today. First thing I'm going to have to do though, see, this was two trees that grew up together. It looks like it might be three stumps down at the bottom. So I'm going to have to, from here is where they separate, cut down the seam and then make a plunge cut right here so that I can cut the one and then cut the other one afterwards. I cut the three trees that were here, who are on the north side of that bigger tree now. I remember I said this one looked really healthy, and when I cut him down, sure enough. But because he was leaning out so far, he was quite curved, so I couldn't get a log out of that one. This one next to him, it was all hollowed out. Now I was quite surprised at that one over there, that he is solid right in through, and I wasn't expecting him to be that solid. But because it was, I have these two lengths here. Now they're straight and 10 feet long. See if they are big enough for what my uncle needs. Now I'm going to cut a V right here, like a mouth opening up so that the bottom end is perpendicular to the way I want it to fall. Then I'll do a plunge cut in here and cut out toward the V. Right smack where I wanted them to go. Jumping the trees over there a bit, but that helps when I'm trying to cut it down on this end. I can put something in under it so that it's easier to cut up rather than laying completely on the ground. Now that I've cut the other one down and I cut the stump level, you can see actually how the tree was faring. There's a soft area right here, and on this side there's a soft area here and a fairly large soft area over here. They're not gone as bad as I thought they would be, and I don't know if they're good enough for logs or no. Might have to cut off a couple of junks off of the what I have filled, and then further up it might be completely solid. Anyway, I'm going to cut this stump off now into 2 junks, and I'll let you see what it's like. So it was just 2 trees growing right tight together. Who says you can't plant trees close together? So that's the bottom now, and that's what the bottom of this piece will look like. And here's the next cut up. Kind of an interesting looking thing, eh? Wider apart up here, like 2 owl eyes. And of course the base of the next one is the same cut. As I said, there's soft areas in it, but for decorative woodworking, that doesn't matter. I didn't think I was that bad at judging trees either. I started to cut it up. The entire center core has gone soft. A little bit of hard down there, but from here up, it's all soft. So it hasn't started to turn color yet. Perfect firewood, but for anything else, forget it. I started to make the chair. You need a big stump to make a chair. I'm recording. I'll have a video on this for you when I get it completed. I have one more tree that needs to fall down this way, and then I'll have the hill ready for continuing to really get into doing the forest garden going up this slope. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hit the thumbs up if you want to follow along and you want to see the completed video of this. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell for the notifications. See you in the next video.